being the inventor of Uplift and many other quite amazing devices, I thought it'd be great to get Tom on board to talk through, how we went about innovating it, but also, just the whole philosophy and the way he works and thinks. The loosest connection that I could give to Tom and why we chose the Uplift is that I know Tom's brother from where I used to live. I used to go drinking with Will, but that's a different story for a different time. But I think the long and short of it is, Tom and Dyson was based in Malmesbury. There was always a very strong Malmesbury connection there as well. So some amazing innovation coming out of a strange Wiltshire, amazing, quaint actually, Wiltshire town in the UK. So I'd like to hand over to Tom just to really to talk a little bit about his life as an inventor and also a little bit more about Uplift. Over to you, Tom.
Thank you so much. Yes, and actually, I didn't. These were my brother's drinking days. I think he's not in that space anymore, but he's still in Yatton Kennel, and wonderful part of the world. How do you become an inventor is the question I get asked lots, and I don't think it's something I ever set about doing, thinking, oh, I'm going to be an inventor. You start with an idea, and when you've had that idea and you obviously for an inventive type product, solution, innovation, I'm not too fussy whether we're talking product development or innovation or invention, they're all part of the same space. And there's inventive elements to so many kind of creative and technical challenges. But you start with an idea, don't you? And I guess if you make that idea happen, then the next thing you know is you've invented something. Well, and that happened the case with me. The idea was the recordable alarm clock. This is about 25 years ago, and I was inspired with the idea of alarm clocks drove me crazy, as they do, with their beep beep every morning. And you think, well, God, you probably know it yourself. You almost have this your circadian rhythm wakes you up 5 minutes before the alarm actually sounds, because you know how shrieking it's going to be, and you disarm it. And that whole, just to call something an alarm clock as a way of starting the day felt like an unpleasant thing. So I decided, what should I wake somebody up with? And I looked at smell and vibration and sound and all of these things. And I tested this on university friends. I was doing a degree in product design, so I had a sense that I was good at making things. And I love it. I mean, making stuff is what life's about to me. And I invented this recordable alarm clock. I decided that rather than put the sound into this thing and let's let people choose. And it became interactive. And this was before we had mobile phones and the likes. So out of university, I produced this product. You find everything that I'm doing. I was going to be based in my office, but I'm not because I suddenly couldn't. And normally I'll be able to reach around and show you the actual products. But if you follow my Twitter or you go to my website, you'll see references to all of these things. And so the recordable alarm clock was where it started. And then I had success with it. It had a patent. I licensed it. I had sales. I sold 250,000 of those, which is ridiculously commercially successful. When I was about 23 years old at the time, it was not easy. I came from a very ordinary background. I was working at a golf course for £4.50 an hour, paying a patent attorney £150 an hour. And so you're on a very unsustainable footing, but I have worked very, very hard. And I guess that first product, which was an invention, and I thought it's an invention because I had a patent on it. And to have a patent, you have to have an inventive step. So I guess I started gaining the confidence that maybe I'm an inventor. And then what do? You invent something else. And then you invent something else, and then you invent something else. So I pioneered 360 video, so mobile 360 video. If you've ever looked in Facebook, if you've seen, there's a wonderful company called Insta360 who have back-to-back fisheyes and little cameras. I pioneered that space, inspired by my travels in India, where I was looking to capture the whole panorama. I've made wind-powered lights to inspire people to embrace the beauty of renewable energy. And I lit Glastonbury tour up, and with nothing but the wind, we won the biggest design award in America, green design that is. I've recently launched a product called Million Mile Light, which is this, and it's a battery-free running light, basically. So you clip it on, and it turns your kinetic motion, your movement, into light that keeps you safe, and it's a wonderful thing. It lasts forever. And more recently, I've done Uplift along, and I'll show you that in a second. You may all have your own, but I'll go into that in a little bit of detail. Along the way, I built up a bit of a reputation for what I do, and Channel 4 came across me about 5 or 6 years ago, and they gave me my own show, and that was called Tom's Fantastic Floating Home. And me and my son Barney innovated all sorts of different creations and solutions to problems that didn't really exist. Television's a bit funny because it's a kind of a constructed reality. And actually, rather than go fully into the lights of that, I like building companies, and I like building companies around simple product solutions. And by simple, if there really is such thing, because even the most simple kind of cut back solution can actually be quite tricky, and it's all about getting it right and every element to it right. But I love it. I love to build companies around relatively simple ideas, and the thing I enjoy most about it is that I get to be creative. It's expressive. It's such hard work. I find it so difficult to tell anybody to get on the same path, because I mean, Dyson will be testament to that. It took him 14 years or something, and I'm on a similar kind of time frame with my career. But there's something else. There must be some drive in you as an inventor. I don't know whether it's where we live here, but there's something in the water. But I like to put my values into my products. I look at the world and I think we've got all sorts of problems, all sorts of challenges. And as a maker, as an engineering mind, as a creative mind, you want to help. And I think that putting my values into my products and building businesses around them is the way that I do that. So the running lights are all about encouraging people to exercise when it's dark, when the weather gets grim, when you perhaps after work you don't have that opportunity. And I'm a runner myself, and I felt vulnerable on the roads, and so I decided to make a product that would keep me safe. But unlike the products I saw in the market, which have batteries and were pretty much disposable, I thought, no, there's got to be a better way to do this. So I developed a solution to take your energy and build a little kinetic engine, essentially. And I've designed a product. It's called Million Mile Light because it should last for 1 million running miles. There's an embracement of renewable energy in this, but really the philosophy that I feel is the one to celebrate is I design things to last for as long as possible. And I think you're better off designing things that have longevity than following the latest sustainability trend. You know, it's made out of coconut husk or whatever it is, which is great. And don't get me wrong, there's brilliant advancements in all sorts of materials at the moment. And I'm not an expert in that space, but I like things. It's a common sense. It's like an old school thing. I like to be able to repair something. I like it to last a long time. And yeah. So recently I launched a product called Uplift. The way that I have managed to innovate everything in the last 10 years has been through Kickstarter. So the greatest challenge that an inventor will face is how on earth you're going to fund your activities. How are you going to do it? And research and development, as you know, because you're in a similar space, albeit with software tools and everything, you totally understand the industry, R&D happens way before when a product might be available, when a business case might actually be defined, and so there's a risk. There's a huge risk, and you can take things as far as you can as an inventor, but there was always this impossible boulder that I'd face where I patented something, I prototyped something, and I then wanted to take it to market, and I needed £50,000 to pay for the tooling, and I didn't have access to cash. I didn't have a network of investors. I didn't know the retail buyer or whatever it might be. And so I found crowdfunding as my solution to do that, and that's overcome that bridge. So the innovation of Kickstarter has been the best to me in the last 10 years. I'm going to say now, I have the propensity to ramble because I'm obviously very enthusiastic about what I do. If anybody at any stage has any question about what I'm doing, you just stop and I'll talk about it. It's important that you get out as much from me as possible. I
was going to say, Tom, for those guys and girls not in the UK, Channel 4 is one of our big 5 kind of terrestrial television channels that we have. So it's not some sort of local TV channel that you get in, particularly in America, but actually one of the big national providers. So it's like quite a significant achievement from Tom on that front.
Definitely, and it was not a comfortable space either. I'm not a whilst I love talking to people, I love presenting, and I've learned to sell my products, I guess. Sorry, someone's trying to phone me. Trying to kind of you learn very quickly that nobody else in the world is coming to discover you. So it's up to you to put yourself forward, and so you can't be shy. So the idea of an inventor finding his success in the shed and staying in the shed, I don't know if that's going to work anymore, unless it's a truly genius mind. And I do appreciate I am not necessarily one of those. I am a very, very creative mind, but I'm not Edison or whoever. But you've got to find your way forward. But that was fabulous to do, and it's helped me forwards because of course you raise your name a little bit, and it's great. Doing TV like that, the production values are so high, and of course, and every opportunity in life there's something to learn. So just seeing how they would tell the story of me was interesting. To see how I could present and articulate myself, and so everything's a learning. And of course, in the world of crowdfunding, one of the essential components is the video, how you introduce yourself and how you explain what it is that you're trying to do and what help you need. And if I hadn't been through the TV, I don't think I'd be so good at producing those, and I really take pride in that. So I love the space. It's a calling, and it's starting to work for me. And by that I mean I have a business now. It's called Uplifting Products. I'm going to show you the product. If I could do the whole unboxing because it's such a lovely thing.
By the way, guys, I mean, Uplift. There's a reason why we got Tom on. I said this product, Tom's product called Uplift, and you'll love to hear a bit more about this. You're going to go into it in a second. You're going to be getting one of these. Everybody should be getting one of these in the post in the coming weeks, if you've not already received.
Absolutely, and they are still limited edition, limited to the point that I don't know if this batch will ever be done quite the same again, because for some reason I set myself the most impossible challenges. So not only was this going to last forever, and it's a beautiful kinetic meditation aid, if you like, but I manufacture it from waste fishing nets. So. Which haven't been done before in the way that I've done it. Very often, you know, with when you recycle something, when you use waste material streams, you end up with this this kind of amalgam material, and it's usually black or a shade of grey or brown, because there's so many contaminants in it, and that's fine for that's fine if you're going to make bins or pub furniture or boxes for your glass or whatever it might be. But I wanted to take the refined beauty out of the fishing nets, and we actually made a first one, and this is the stuff that we use. So this is just waste nets, and as we know in the news, it's all over the ocean, and it's a problem. Now, as an optimist, you say, well, when you have a problem, you see that as an opportunity and you do something about it. And those kind of values are hardwired into me. And this is the product. Let me show it to you. It's so lovely. It's so exquisitely packaged. I can't wait for you to all receive them. And there will be no this is no test. I'll demonstrate it, but you'll work it out how to put it all together yourselves. It's so simple. So we have a base, which is walnut here, and that sits down. I wonder if I can just move that there so you can actually see it. Excuse me if you didn't see my face for a minute. So we have the base here, and that's got a little solar panel on it, and there's a little copper coil. The base is walnut. It's FSC kind of guaranteed. It's cork on the bottom, and it's a little brass pillar and a little Japanese bearing. I know that you are all quite technical people, so I'm going to explain with a little bit of depth as to what the things are. It's a very special Japanese bearing. It's had its oil removed, so there's incredibly low torque, but the rest of the parts are premium. And importantly, this is designed as a module, so this is one modular piece, so that if something goes wrong, it could be replaced. And then I have my glorious spiral here, and you may not be able to see it perfectly, but I'm going to put my torch through it, and then you'll see, hopefully, there's an optical quality to it. So if you can see the actual light, the material glows up a little bit. It it becomes voluminous in the light. So it's a wonderful thing. It's kind of opaque in flat light, and then you put it in the sun, and it becomes like a volume of light. So the spiral, which sits, so made out of fishing net, sits on a metal spine. And at the bottom of that metal spine is an array of magnets, and they're going to work like a water wheel. So I put my spiral on top of my base like that, and then I have a piece of glass, which is this large dome here, and the glass goes over the top like so. Right, that's it. A little bit of tuning. Should be fine. that. Oh well, that's perfect because our dog. In fact, you can come here if you want to. Our dog's called Solar, and as we all know, solar is going to save the world. So, in fact, come here, Solar. This is. Oh, come on, you can see everybody. So this is Solar, and bless her. So the whole of the uplift works through. Let's just put it down again. Very, very tuned. Yeah. So as soon as I take the sun, and I'm not in a sunny spot here, imagine this is the sun, and I put it onto the product, we should start to see motion. We do.
Tom, if I showed, I'm not sure if people can see my video, but
oh yeah, I mean that's a dream. Yes, we don't have to use a phone. Exactly, Nick's got it. It's on the windowsill, and it's powered by the sun. So it's yeah, exactly. So it's out of its normal habitat here on the kitchen table, but it's a really, really lovely product. And you know, I've got to a point in my life where I just want to create the things that I want to see in the world, and rather than get maddened by things, I'd rather express myself, produce stuff that I think is beautiful. This is made out of trash, it lasts forever, it's powered by the sun, and it's designed to relax you, because as I well know, to be a designer and an engineer, you spend an extraordinary amount of time in front of a computer. And computers are amazing tools, but they keep us in this kind of tunnel vision, and it kind of creates almost a laminar flow of our brain activity. And by that I mean we can get flatlined. You look at the kids on their screens and they kind of go, you know, it zonks us. And so that doesn't mean the tools are wrong, it doesn't mean the tools are bad, but our relationship with them can sometimes be unhealthy. I know that for myself. And what I wanted was a visual aid. If I'm away on holiday, I don't want to touch a computer. I want nothing to do with it. I want to sit in the sun and I want to relax, and I want to just, and my mind goes away, and it's like a whole different world. When I'm in work mode, I'm just in work mode, and I find it really difficult to stop because I'm ambitious and I've got lots to do. And so in a way, this was a visual aid to encourage the wheels of my mind to disengage, right? Is there such thing as non-thinking? I know that the world's full of books about Zen meditation and stuff, and I admire that, but I wasn't born in a monastery. It's quite difficult to find that, and I actually like little visual prompts. So that's why this product exists. And I launched it through Kickstarter. The first version a couple of years ago. It sold really, really well. I sold, I think, about 400 of them of the first batch, and then I've sold another 1,000 of these. And so it's slowly growing. We've built a company called Uplifting Products, and yeah, we're really excited.
So I was going to say, Tom, I mean, I think I've talked about this before in team meetings, but you know, when we are at our strongest in terms of being creative and innovative and problem solving, which is a lot of what we do, there always has to be a moment of downtime. You know, the greatest thoughts you ever have are in your moments of boredom, or the moments you're staring out of a train window or looking out of an aeroplane window when they were running. You know, that's when you have moments of inspiration. So both in terms of, you know, in the UK, we're just approaching another lockdown period where we're going to be stuck in, in my case, a blandly white painted room with 4 walls, my door closed so I don't annoy all the family because of constant calls. You need something. I find myself constantly turning to this, particularly when I'm thinking, just it's just there revolving in front of my eyes, but it's helping, I think.
Yeah, it is. And I'll tell you why. One of the reasons it's helping as well is it's taking you, and it might not be the uplift, but it's taking you from your screen to the window. And if I'm honest, if you have access to nature, you don't need one of these. Go for a walk. If you live by a river, you don't need this. Just look at the water. And it's more the fact that we live in a world that there's much more artifice. So very often the view out, especially in work environments, you might look out the view and it's an air conditioning unit. You know, there's a we haven't yet designed all of our spaces to have the right flow of nature and feng shui or whatever it's needed. And so this kind of gets the wheels of the mind going, and it takes you to the outdoors. And I think that's what the power of it is. And if and then almost the healing of your mind. But it's exactly that, as you said, Nick. People would often say, where do you get your ideas? And on a train is exactly it. When you get caught between worlds and you're forced to slightly daydream, or, you know, and to be honest, I as a kid, I was the biggest daydreamer in the world. And actually, I think that makes me a Zen meditation enlightened monk or something, because they say that I've read Eckhart Tolle, who basically says that, well, daydreaming is like, and imagination is the highest form of whatever this meditation state they're looking for. And I'm like, well, we'll go there anyhow. But we, as creators, we can go there anyhow. But we're often technical, or often we're solving problems and stuff. But yeah, it's exactly that. It's just changing it up a little bit. We can't, and this is, I'm doing this for myself as much as I'm now doing it for my customers. I can't operate when I'm permanently on it. When I'm non-stop working, I just crash, and it's and I want to carry on. So I have to learn to find ways to do that. And it's now having done it on Kickstarter, of course, you get to launch a product, and you do it the best you can, and you see what the feedback might be. And it was so well embraced. People didn't kind of go, oh, well, that's nice. If they like it, they love it. And if they don't love it, I'm not going to try and sell it to them. So it's a really enjoyable product, and I hope that you will get masses of pleasure out of it. I really do. And I hope that if I could do anything as a designer, I would want people to dream about a more sustainable future. That's the space I'm in. I can't do it all on my own. I'm one person trying to do his thing, but I know that together we can do anything. And it's just trying to inspire other people to dream a little bit. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. It's you know,
hey Tom, shall we turn over? Is there any questions from anybody for Tom?
I have a question.
Hi, Gina.
When you building for longevity, so all the products, like probably the products that resonated with me, or the products that I've seen a lot of value, they were designed a certain way. They were designed and built for longevity. Now, I wasn't sure if it was designed and built that way because, you know, as you're inventing, as you're creating this, you're taking kind of stuff that's off the shelf or what you can get your hands on and building it. So that's like your first model, and then you start becoming more efficient on it, or again, mass production and designs change? Or is it, so have you encountered that, or are you able to, you know, you design for longevity and right from day one?
Well, there's always a compromise in some sort of form. And so like Million Miles, perfect example. The reason it's called a Million Mile Light is I can't engineer the LEDs, right? They are what they are, and they have a certain life to them. So I can't make a product that will last longer than those LEDs. And in a sense, you pick the weakest chain in the link, and that is the LEDs in this. And then I'll have to then design everything else to last length of that particular bit. The magnets, the copper foil, the simplicity, the housing will all match that. And so you, that's that. And it's a kind of a purist way of doing it. As a designer and an engineer, I think you just want to build the best product. It's only then when you chat to your colleague who's an entrepreneur and a salesperson kind of says, yeah, you can't make it last forever because then who's ever going to buy one again? But actually, I'm starting to find in business, you can find those people as well. Doesn't mean it's easy. There's the struggle that the lights always felt is they always faced is that the retailers aren't interested. They like things to fail. They like short cycles. So there's a real mindset change that has to happen there. But I think that the way, sadly, with this product, because it had to be waterproof, it's encapsulated and it had to be a certain price. So it will come to a point where it doesn't work anymore. With the uplift, I tried to a different approach, and the approach was to make it modular. So I actually don't know how long some of the parts will last. I couldn't. I can't. You know, Mr. Dyson in my town, he has products, and of course he has extensive testing laboratories, and he can put things through cycles and repetitions and movements and stuff, and he can simulate how the real world might impair something's life. I can't really do that because I don't have the same kit, and I also think there's an element of guessing with it. But what I can do is design it so it's modular. So when the bearing, you know, the bearings, to me the bearing's the big one in this. This could become contaminated. This could stop working, but when it does, you take it off when you put a new one in. Nice. So and that's my approach to this design, is to, rather than enclose something all in plastic and hide it away so you can't see it, let's show it. And I actually think that consumers really like that as well. There's a lot, they kind of like to see a little bit of how something looks.
I was going to make a small remark on the bearings. You did point out it was a Japanese bearing, but obviously the superior Swedish design bearings would have been my preference on that. But
Nick has a fetish for bearings.
Hey, this is what you have to talk to other engineers, because I didn't know that. I thought Japanese ISO was the way, and that's what we've been using. But fine, I'll be going. I'll be hunting that now. But this is one of the challenges with hardware is that very often you know, as soon as you commit to the design, you're locked down, and you don't get to change it again. And this is why it's crazy, isn't it? We have one of these phones. In 2 years, I'll have another one, different one. It's not upgradable. I should be buying a fair phone. I should be buying one of the ones that got an element of upgradability to it. But yeah, so this is the nice way of this is my approach of hardware is now to be more modular with it, and so that exactly I could take that insight. Hey, is there a better bearing? Great, we could put it into this for the new versions, and yeah. But again, this is a relatively simple product, right? So we're not talking about a smart television or a washing machine or something. But I don't see any reason why other products couldn't have the same philosophy. And not to seem ungrateful, but I'm hoping my box comes autographed. I don't have an autograph, but I have left a spelling mistake on it. One single spelling mistake, so that's the human touch. Perfect.
I was going to say, Justin, before the dispatch from your home, obviously, if you just write TOM on the front, Gino, I'm sure Gino will be happy.
Yeah, Tom, I'll sign on behalf of you on the box, and Gino won't know any different, so it'll be good.
It's been fascinating to hear you talk, actually, because my daughter's just started a university degree in product design, and like a lot of people of her generation, she's also quite passionate about, you know, sustainability. So I wish she could have heard you speaking today, but I'll pass on her or your details to her and your Twitter accounts and so on. But
please do.
All the points you were making about, you know, design for sustainability, how do you see that being adopted within the corporate world rather than in the sort of, you know, crowd-funded and independent design projects that you're running?
Well, I suspect that there's similar motivations all the way through. It's funny, it's very easy to be cynical about the corporate world because it always seems slow to adopt the right patterns, the right trends, but it's more like, because they're oil tankers, aren't they? They just take longer to change their course. And as we know, the lifeblood of any business is cash flow and all of those things. And I guess as a small company, I can keep my living costs lean. There's a slightly more leaner approach to innovation that I can absorb, as terrifying as it has been many times. You just do find a way. And I think that maybe that's how influence works. It's like we're like the tributaries of of whatever, and the mainstream of the corporations. And when they see what we're doing, they'll learn and they'll see certain ways, and then you just hope that there's a kind of a collaborative learning nature with that. But I don't think there's a lack of ethics in the corporate world. I just think the problem's much bigger and more systemic. So when I go, hey, it's only a year ago, I said to my customers, the first version of this I made were all out of stacked pieces of walnut, 22,000 of them, and I made them all by hand in the office. And then I was like, wow, okay, I'm not going to do that again. What my customers would like to see me do next? And everybody said, oh, we want something that's reminiscent of the ocean. And I was like, okay, fine. And we went to the beach, my wife and I, and the kids, and we found all of this stuff. But then it was also in the news. There was nothing new about discovering that this kind of plastic marine waste was a problem. But it only took one meeting with me and my partner to say, hey, let's make the next one out of waste fishing nets. And we're like, let's do that. Now, that's, I don't know the scale of your company, but some of the companies I've done consultancy for, there could have been 7 months in meetings and procrastination and decision making to do that. And that's, I think, why I'm attracted to the kind of space I'm in, because it's freer, and that does mean it's more precarious and risky, and I don't have the perks, the security that you have. So you're really trading different things, but I think the motivation's there. I think that when people see like stuff that makes sense, that's truthful, that's like, that's good, it kind of goes against your principles to ignore it. But I suppose the fear with the corporations is sometimes I see a lot of greenwash. So I see a lot of stuff that's trying to say it's doing something, and you kind of go, are you really? But they have the real power to change the world. I mean, they really do. If Apple did a phone that had the fair phone principles, whereby all I'm interested in is what the camera's doing, and if I said in 2 years' time I could just take that's almost like a little button of a design there anyhow. I just want to pop that module out and put the new one in. They have to embrace that thinking. And the only way that they will really do that, and I think the design teams are on side. I think the shareholders perhaps hold things back sometimes. I think that perhaps they are so removed from product, they just want to see returns, right? And this is because they want the security and they're removed from things. I think the designers, every designer I've ever known is always pushing for the right kind of thing. So I think that hopefully as consumers become more conscious, they start to put those kind of demands, they start to ask the tricky questions, and they'll do that if they start seeing other people doing it in other ways. But
I think you're right. That's the point of sustainability, is if if the investors and the shareholders are only looking for short-term returns, then ultimately we're going to run out of planetary resources to sustain anything. So,
and this is the big thing, Graham, is short-termism is killing the planet. It's also the problem with politics. It's also the problem with so many things. But that short-term profit motivation is not the way to do it. And me as an inventor who's now 20 years into his career, I'm here for the next 20, 30 years. And so it's important that my name builds in this, and my brand is about those kind of values. And I think maybe I can't buy PR, and so I have to do it honestly. And I already think the world consumers have tuned into the fact that, hey,
you guys
we can't just take.
You guys are touching on one of my little skunk work projects, actually, that I have on sustainability. So everybody knows we're actually currently working quietly behind the scenes with the World Economic Forum.
Okay.
With Bain & Co., which is one of the major consultancies, on the whole idea of sustainable design, circular economies. We're doing quite a lot of work there, and also with a very big brand in America that may have the initials RL.
Yes. So
some very interesting stuff actually is in the pipeline for us as PTC around sustainability. That's probably a few months off, but I think it's a really important topic. Do we have any more questions? I think we're going to run out of Q&A in terms of the FY21 changes, but I think this conversation with Tom is far more interesting than boring work stuff. So Do we have any more questions for Tom at all?
Actually, I have one question. I mean, I feel how he's fascinating about his product and about his work. It's really amazing and to listen to him. I'm just wondering if he's inventing those kind of products like this uplift or this light. Do you have your customer in mind? Like, what does he want to see? What does he want to have? What kind of functionality it has? Or is it more like what I believe is more important for this product?
It's both. I've learned so long ago that every time I ever tried to design something, the first design I would come up with was not the right way. And what I had to do was share that with everybody else. So it's funny, when you're independent, you don't have the big team to be able to bounce everything off. And so I have, I guess, got an unofficial sounding board that involves all sorts of people. And I will get a measure feeling of whether I'm doing the right thing by sharing product, either in sketch forms, in prototypes, in whatever it might be at different points, with people I trust. They're very often not involved in my industry, because people from my industry will come with a certain kind of mind, and I might genuinely be so with Uplift. You must watch I filmed a short documentary, so I wanted this product to be relaxing, and I would take the product in to see my gran. My gran was suffering with dementia, and so she was easily anxious. And if you have dementia, you can get stuck in little patterns of mind, and television was really bad for her. So when I would visit my gran, I'd take this prototype in, and it had the most remarkable effect on her. And it would just kind of soothe her mind a little bit, and of course, bless her, every day I took it in, she thought it was new because she had dementia, so she didn't remember it before. And to me, this was the most important, powerful feedback. So the question is feedback loops. Put feedback loops into your product development cycle. Also, trust yourself. If it's your vision, if it's your intuition, if it's your job to take that to market, then you probably have a sense of what it should be. But I know in myself, I won't get it right. I won't get it perfect. I need other people to see it. But I have to respect those people. And I have to, absolutely. So I think it kind of comes from both ways, and a huge amount of it is it's feeling. It's actually, well, does it feel right? Is it doing the right thing? And then you have to be incredibly patient, and I'm a bit of a stickler for perfection. And I would rather let's wait 4 months before we launch it than do it now and race it and not make it good. And I think I've learned to do that. I don't know how I've learned to do that. I don't even know how I'm patient, to be honest, but you have to be, and because product development takes a long time. So the challenge with us as product people is software. It's so easy to do an upgrade. So it's so easy, you can launch a minimum viable product as a software, as a piece of software, and you can incrementally improve and share to your users. Hardware is much more difficult to do that because you set yourself in stone, and I think that's why I'm trying to do this modular approach and avoid so much complex tooling, because as soon as I do that, I'm locked into something. So I might do the first version of all of these, the electronic elements of this, they're all 3D printed. I did 400 of them 3D printed, and now I have the design right. I've now molded it. There's a joy you get with crowdfunding as well, that it's not just about raising some cash. You get another feedback loop as well, so you can get validation as to what your product is, but you also get this audience that have kind of bought into you and what you're trying to do, and they are the best feedback in the world. So they're actually better than having, and also you get the cash as well, but they're better than having an investor who might just say, hey, this is what I think, and it's like, and you go, okay, but how do you know? When you get to 1,000 people, you know what the cumulative and collective feedback is, and I think it becomes quite obvious what you should or shouldn't do. But equally, never give it all away to everybody. I'm no design by committee. At the end of the day, you've got to be proud of it yourself, and you've got to drive it yourself. So you sign it off. It's yours. It's yours.
Thank you.
I used to have a little quote on my wall in my office in the Netherlands when I worked for SKF, and because it was a Swedish company, everything was by committee. But the quote said, "Camel is a horse designed by committee." It's such a perfectly illustrative quote on the problem of designing by committee, basically.
Definitely. I mean, if you've ever seen a sculpture for an Olympic park or I don't know. I mean, there's where you just know it's had the wrong kind of minds, and actually anything brilliant has to be just led with a little bit of single vision, a lot of intuition, but also, you know, and this is an important thing of having thick enough skin that if you've got it wrong, you're not going to get offended by that. Maybe when I was in my 20s and 30s, if someone said, "Oh, I put all this effort into this design," and I don't know, I've had so many failures on this way as well. I've not got everything right at all. And failures for design, failures for business, failures for intellectual property. Some things that have been brilliant, but maybe a competition have taken it on or whatever. But the yeah, I think that I don't know, whatever I would say. Believe in yourself, and somehow yes, yeah.
We've got a couple of minutes just before the end. So do we have any? Probably time for one quick, which seems to be a challenge. One quick question from anybody.
Yep. Hi. Can you hear me?
We hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
Hi. Hi, Tom. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to have one of my own. I'm just, I hope it reaches on time. It's beautiful, and it seems like it's somewhere in the middle of being a product and being an art piece. And I'm a huge fan of Theo Johnson's kinetic sculptures, and I cannot wait to have this in my room. And I can see you nodding, which means you're agreeing with me. I was just wondering, what was your balance between thinking about this as a piece of art and productizing it?
Well, do you know, that's a really interesting question. I too am a fan of his, and I think what I love about his work in particular is the way that the missing element is the wind,
right?
The missing element is the sun, and without that it wouldn't work. But when you bring that to it, the mechanism, it becomes a life force of its own, right? So it takes on something else. And in a similar way, I've been subconsciously inspired by him. Very different, and I adore that. So this was always an invention, as a design, until I launched it, and everybody said to me, "I love your art." So I saw myself as a designer and an inventor, and not as an artist. But in the last 2 years, because people have said so many times, "Oh, I love your art," I've started to think, "Oh, maybe I'm an artist." So the truth is, I don't really care. It doesn't matter. It's just a label. I don't see the world in any particular boundary. I see no boxes to thought. I see no, I think we are just expressing ourselves. And I think, why can't I be artistic as an engineer? Why can't I be scientific as an artist? Why can't I be, I could be interested in social science, I could be all manner of those things. And I'm really proud of it because it is all of those things. And you know what's, we've been really struggling to, as a small team, to how we market this. And I don't market myself as an artist, but I'm slightly more comfortable with that now. Why am I not an artist? I've never studied art. So maybe that's the reason I wouldn't say I was an artist. But does that mean I couldn't be? Of course. You know, if I pick up, I could be a musician if I put 20 years into trying to learn something, which I'm not going to do. That's not my thing. But I think that just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. I wanted to make something beautiful. That was it, and therefore it had to be artistic. But it also, to have that extra beauty, it also had to be engineered in this sustainable way. And I think that's really all I've gone in pursuit of is beauty and longevity, and to marry those things. Excellent.
Tom, look, just coming up to the hour now. So first of all, look, a huge thank you from all of us from an absolutely fascinating discussion and talk today. I mean, the energy, the passion that you have for what you do is is coming through electronically in spades here right now.
Oh, that's so kind. I'll be honest with you. People often say that, and they'll see me and they're like, God, where'd you get your energy from? And it's all this kind of things. It's also hard work. It's also I'm not perfect. I'm working it all out as I'm going along, and it's and yeah. But what I'm learning, this product's good for me. I'm learning to rest. I'm learning to manage that energy, because you can't be on all the time. Otherwise, you have such high expectations of yourself. Most of the time, I'm trying to do nothing, because my mind is busy, and I can't. If I overthink, I can't sleep, and all this kind of thing. So I'm just trying to gently go with it. But I absolutely love talking to people who are interested and get what I'm doing. So actually, it was seeing all of your faces in front of me that's energized me. We're all in it together. I'm thrilled if I could have inspired you in any way, and I can't wait to know that you've received your uplifts. And if you are on social media, then please share them and link me. Tom Lawton, Be Uplifted is the hashtag, and because it really helps, because there's lots of forces that work against little independence, especially now, but nothing that we don't get through. It's great. I love it. So thank you for your time.
No, thank you. And look, hopefully everybody has received or will be receiving them very shortly. So as Tom was mentioned many times, the idea behind this gift was not about another commercial material thing or a branded piece of another PTC coat that you can put up in your closet. It was definitely something this year, of amongst all years, of something about well-being, the ability to switch off. And I feel like everybody else, and we've got challenging months ahead of ourselves. So use this to switch off, to meditate if that is your way, but just use it to stare through it outside. So
and remember, daydreaming is a very valid form of meditation.
Well, you've got some of my colleagues. I meditate a lot then.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Okay, thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. All right.